Welcome everybody to the technical webinar, the deep diving technology. Today the crop at hand is Celosia. We will touch on both Celosia plumosa and Celosia cristata. A speaker today again is our very technical knowledge, Ivan Posniakov. Ivan, take it away.
Thank you, Michael, for my introduction. And we briefly start in our another webinar. Now it's leaving, no, it's not a recording. And I would like to say welcome for everybody who joining us today, and for every flower lovers, every our customers, every visitors. And let's start with the Celosia. And Celosia, here you can see it's really fairy crop. It's like sparks. It's like may to say the fireworks. And we have very fantastic celosias, and I would like to start with assortment. And the first one I want to point at, and I would like to highlight in our assortment, is a fantastic branching ability of the crop. Here you can see the picture on the left side of the slides. This is example of the bright sparks. And here you can see the branching ability because in this picture I remove background, and you can see how many branches are coming in already plants. And we have two series of the Celosia, and we have two species. One of them is the Celosia plumosa, and second of that is Celosia cristata. And we're starting with the Celosia plumosa because it's most popular one, and we have a larger assortment than in Celosia cristata. Here we have already 5 separate colors and 1 mix. And last year we have a novelty. By the way, this red and bronze leaf is or red leaves, Celosia bright spark. Is a novelty from last year. And so here you can imagine how it can look like in the landscaping. For instance, this picture highlighting how plant looks like in the bedding area, in the landscape. And you can see here in the closest side of the picture is a pink bright spark, and in rear side you can see the yellow one. In our entire assortment we have 5 colors again and 1 mix. And something interesting from Celosia cristata. This is really unique series, and when you will see the picture in a few moments, you will be amazed about not only branching ability, also about the plant shape. Here you can see it's like a special, the small flags are coming from the head of this Celosia. It's a really unique plant shape and really nice opportunity to use this plant in the landscape as well. If you're interested in our Celosia assortment, you can visit our Flora Nova catalog because this genetic came from Flora Nova company. By this link, you can find, by this QR code, you can find and you can visit our catalog of Flora Nova, and there you can find a more technical, may to say the technical details like germination rate, like the plant size in our Celosias. Which belongs to our Celosias. And let's start with the technical things. And before we start in with to discuss the technical things, I would like to display some beautiful, nice picture to to get your encouragement on this crop and to entertain you. Here you can see the very nice landscaping performance of Celosia yellow, bright sparks yellow. It really looks like a firework because of the many branches are coming, and many spikes looks like really nice sparks of the color. And of course, Celosia is not only a landscaping crop, it's quite a flexible crop, so it is possible to create nice product in a pots. Here, I would like to highlight some kind of the nice Celosias planted in the pots. Here in that pot's about 3 plants per pot. In the pot size, about 5 liters here. So you can imagine what's a fantastic opportunity you have with our you can get with our Celosia assortment. And to receive very nice plant such you can see in this picture, I would like to reveal the secrets of the Celosia. And today we will talk how to receive these nice plants. And let's start with 5 successful elements for Celosia production. And first one is light for the seeds. Light is necessary for the germination. Second one, don't overwater the crop, especially in initial stage. Fast growth. Later on, I will explain what I mean when I'm talking about the fast growth. Not high EC, not apply too much fertilizer. And telebiopsis. Of course, today we will talk again about the diseases, because diseases is our pain point and everybody interested in how to overcome these issues. And to know more and to study more about our crops, you can visit our YouTube channel. Here you can find a link, and here you can find by this QR code you can visit our YouTube channel. And let's start with the technical topics of the Celosia. First one, how to germinate successfully and how to sow the seeds. Here you can see the trays that are covered, and so that's why you can recognize Celosia required a covering. And we advise to use 288 cells trays for sowing, or it's also possible to sow Celosia in a trays without cells, with the transplanting later on into the cells. But to keep the roots in the good, in healthy condition, I advise to sow directly into the trays. And it is necessary, it's not necessary to seeds 2 or 3 seeds per trays. 1 seed is enough. And do we need to cover seeds? Of course, you already know the answer. Yes, but there is one interesting thing, one, may to say the tricky thing. Celosia requires light for germination. So that's why not provide too thick layer. Just apply the thin layer of the vermiculate or perlite, or a very thin layer of the substrate, additional layer of substrate, not to cover the seeds, but not to cover seriously. May to say the thick of the substrate layer, it should be about 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters, not too much, not apply too much seeds cover material seeds shouldn't be hid by the cover material. I made to say like this. And germination chamber is optional, but please keep in mind, if you would like to use a germination chamber, please provide the light inside the germination, or you can keep additional lights like LED or luminescent lamps inside the germination chamber to provide the lights for germination. Because without light, Celosia will show rather low germination rate. So that's why I advise to keep this point, this kind of condition in mind, and don't forget that. And soil temperature should be on the range between 21 up to 24 degrees. So Celosia, it's made to say a little bit hot lava crop. It not requires temperature rate like 18, 20. It very happy with 23, 24, and even sometime 25. 25 is not really serious temperature. But the optimal range is again 21 till 24. And what's about the substrate? Honestly, Celosia, it's not really sensitive crop. We are happy, and our customer can be happy because Celosia not require as a many sensitive crop like a gerbera or like, for instance, viola, the specific substrate application or treatment for successful germination and for growing on. But any kind of substrate is applicable. Rice husk-based substrate, peat-based substrate from professional substrate mixture, coco peat as a mixture, as a material for substrate, and also, of course, a wood fiber peat is a new product in the market, and so it's also applicable for the Celosia. But provide very drained substrate. So substrate shouldn't be, I mean, the pores in the substrate shouldn't be clogged with the too small particles. So that's why I would advise to use any kind of substrate. And here I keep it into the range from the best up to worst. It not means the rice husk is very worst substrate, but this all the properties of the substrate, if we summarize it, we can arrange it in this schedule from the in this row from the best up to the may to say applicable. And the particle size should be about the 5 millimeters, not too small. Here I keep range like a 0 till 5 millimeters, but in general it should be 5 millimeters. And please try to avoid the substrate with the dust, not use a very dusty substrate. And to avoid any kind of mistakes, not only with the celosia, with many crops, I advise to mix the substrate. If you use, especially in a seedling stage, if you use, for instance, rice husk, it would be nice to mix it with a coco peat, 50-50%. What's the reason? If you receive the substrate and not able to check it properly, and you're not really confident in substrate quality, if you mix 50-50, you avoid half of your problem. So that's why I advise to use, if you have in your location different type of substrate, I advise to mix substrate like a 50-50% with a, may to say, the best substrate and may to say affordable type substrates. And of course, about specific agents like a perlite, like a sand. As I said, celosia requires drain substrate, but the level or the range of the this type of agents shouldn't be too high. It's about 20 up to 30. The average is 25% of the perlite should be added to the substrate, and this type of the living agent will provide very nice drained mixture of the substrate. And let's start with the other condition on the germination stage. Don't overwater, of course. Even in the sowing stage, even when you put when you put the seeds into the soil, provide not saturated level, only level 4. What's the difference between saturated level and level 4? Saturated level is surface of the substrate in this level looks glittering, and water is really visible on the surface of the substrate. If you take up the trace, you will see with the saturated substrate, water will be very easily dropped down from the bottom holes. And with a level 4, to receive water leakage from the bottom of the trace, you have to press on that. And later on, you will see a lot of water. But for level 5, you don't need to press. If you take it up, if you take up the tray, you will see the water will drop by itself. So that's the difference. And of course, overwatered plant and overwatering during the production will bring the problem. And here on the picture, you can see the algae coming to the substrate level, and the plant is a little bit depressed. You see quite me to say chlorotic, quite chlorotic leaves, and algae which is developing and which is growing on the substrate surface, able to depress the plant, able to inhibit the plant growth as well. So please avoid overwatering. And of course, substrate pH in the initial stage. This is interesting thing because celosia, like some of the crops, should not really sensitive to high pH on the later stage, but quite sensitive on the initial stage. So pH should be a little bit lower in the initial stage, and the optimal range 5.5 till 5.5. And please not forget, and when we're talking about the pH, we're talking about the pH in the substrate and in the water, in the watering solution as well. So pH should be the same, 5.5, 5.5 in the watering, in water, and 5.5, 5.9 in the substrate. And of course, substrate, celosia not require too much fertilizer, so initial saturated media extract must have EC on the level 0.5 millisiemens. And let's start with the seedling growth. What's the temperature? What's the optimal temperature and light range for the celosia? Here you can see the seedlings which growing, which start to germinate, and how we can provide and which kind of condition we are able to provide to proper and to the perfect to receive the perfect seedlings. The day temperature should be on the range 20-21. Celosia is quite hot resistant crop, so here is a optimal temperature range, but celosia able to survive even in a higher temperature like 24, 25. So if you would like to receive high quality product, provide bit lower temperature, and night temperature should be 1 degrees below the day temperature, or maybe the same, and light intensity. If you would like to receive healthy plant, if you have a too high temperature in the greenhouse in your location, please provide quite intensive light, 40-50 kilolux. This is suitable to produce normal plant, and keep substrate moisture alternated between 2 and 4. And especially in the seedling stage, let the substrate becomes dry between two irrigation. So it means not start watering plant right after the substrate moisture came to the level 2. Wait about half of a day and apply the water when the substrate will be on the level 2, will be quite dry, and only after that apply the next water. And celosia is quite fast crop. What's mean fast? It takes only 4 or 5 weeks to produce healthy and ready plants. And the ready stage for transplanting, it looks like on this picture. It takes about, it receives about 5-6 leaves, 5-6 normal leaves. And the length of the plant should be about 5 centimeters. It shouldn't be too stretch. And but celosia, it's very prone to stretch. So that's why I would like to highlight some kind of technical tips how to avoid a stretching. And since we get a germinated plants can be developed very fast in 4 up to 5 weeks, sometime with a high temperature and high light intensity. It can be ready, or it can be ready in 3 weeks. So that's why please be careful. Don't forget to check the stage of your plants. So visit your celosia bit oftenly than other crops. It's the same story like with the zinnia. Zinnia is also very fast crop, so celosia also can grow too fast. And here you can see example of the stretch plants. It looks not really nice. It likes the very thin, very etiolated. And here you can see the healthy plant example. And what kind of condition we must apply to avoid the stretching? Provide enough light. Optimal light and level rate. If you receive temperature higher than 20 to 23 degrees, please provide about at least 50 kilolux for your plants. And so be careful to apply too much shading for the plants, and provide moderate humidity, and don't use a clean water since you have to apply the fertilizer. And of course, provide nice ventilation. Nice ventilation will help you to avoid too high humidity and will help you to avoid the stretching of the plants. And let's start with the fertigation tips. As I said, since you start to apply the water with the fertilizer, don't use clean water. And what's Celosia's requirements for the fertilizer? It requires 75 up to 125 ppm of nitrogen. It can be provided by half of gram or 1 gram per liter with NPK in range 75-70 or similar. So provide low phosphorus concentration because we're talking about a small volume of a substrate, and high phosphorus concentration can bring problem in this condition, can bring a lot of issues with this condition. And don't feed Celosia too much. So optimal you see in the water should be 1.5 up to 1.7 in sunny condition. So if you're able to provide 50, 60 kilolux of light intensity, you can provide, and this will be beneficial if you apply 1.7 millisiemens of fertilizer in the water. And of course, optimal EC range in the substrate to control how you feed in your plants. It should be 0.9 up to 1.3. Please avoid too high fertilizer level, sorry, too high salts level in the substrate. Especially, don't forget to check EC in the substrate, especially if you provide quite high rate like 1.7 in the water. And use watering with the rinsing or draining. This watering application will help you avoid over salinity or too high concentration of the salt in the substrate. So if you provide enough quantity of the water, and when the water will leak from the bottom of the trays, it will rinse out excess of the salts automatically. So that's why I advise to use this kind of technique of the watering. When you're watering, just wait when the water will start to drop down from the bottom of the trays. And of course, here I would like to display how looks like the plant that damaged with a high EC. Here you can see leaves start to curling. Some plants, especially in the top of the picture, are depressed. And the chlorosis after, when you provide quite high concentration of the fertilizer, plant start to become start to get very intensive green light. But if you provide too much, you see, Celosia can show even chlorosis. So that's why chlorosis, sometimes be careful with the Celosia. Sometimes chlorosis is not the sinks of the too high, too low EC or hungry of the it's not show that it sometimes it cannot mean that plants are hungry. Sometimes it means plants over fertigated or receive too high salts level. So let's start with the examples. Here you can see may to say the weekly scheduling, how to approximately provide fertilizer. Here you can see we start with a level 0405 with the clean water, and later on with the first watering after germination, we have to apply already water with NPK. And approximately every 5, maybe sometime for Celosia is okay, maybe sometime every 8 or 6 watering, don't forget to provide calcium and magnesium nitrate or calcium and magnesium fertilizer, because NPK fertilizer in general lack of the calcium or don't contains calcium and magnesium in their formulation. So this is an example, and here you can see in this graph, in this table, you see not comes over 1.5. So for the seedling stage, 1.5 is the highest level of EC. And so here you can see, you see alternated between 1.3, 1.5. This is example, and EC should be alternated. It depends on the temperature and the light intensity, because with a high light intensity, plant requires much more fertilizer when the low light intensity. And the high concentration, as I said, is 1.7 in the water. But in the seedling stage, try to avoid even higher than 1.5. And what's about the transplanted? What kind of condition we have to apply after transplanted, and how plant should looks like before transplanting or right before transplanting, how it looks like the ready plants. Here you can see on the picture plants mostly ready to transplant from the seedlings to the, it's already transplanted into the big pot. And here you can see the stage can be between 5 and 6 leaves. So the plants which already receive the 6 leaves should be transplanted because it's already, may to say, the mature stage. And if you keep the plants in the trays, plant will start to stretch. So that's why try to avoid too long time into the too long time crop into the vegetation, sorry, in the trays. And so the day temperature should be on the same level, but the night temperature should be lower. In the case, again, these I display and highlight optimal temperature. For instance, if you have temperature like 23, 24, or even 25 or 27, which is common in South Asia and Southeast Asia, it means please provide lower temperature in the night. And the difference should be 2 degrees. If you have in daytime 27, please try to provide to your plants temperature on the level like 23, 24 degrees. And what's about light intensity? Light intensity must be even higher than in the seedling stage. It should be already about 50 kilolux, and keep substrate level also on the level between 3 and 4. It should be a little bit higher, and of course avoid overwatering, and the proper substrate mixture will help you to avoid overwatering in the pots as well. And what kind of the pot size choose for the Celosias? Here I displayed different type of pots suitable for Celosia. If you would like to produce it not in landscape, in the pot as a pot crop, or if you would like to sell Celosia as a pot crop. Here you can see how many plants you're able to apply in different size of the pot, in different volume of the pot. And here I display also the suitable pot size or pot volume for Celosia. It started from 0.5 liter up to even 5.5 liter. And sometimes Celosia can apply as a mix, as a component of the mix for the hanging baskets, as a may to say accent crop for the hanging basket. So you can mix with trailing plants, with some trailing plants in big hanging basket, and use Celosia as a accent crop for that mixes. And for half of liter plants and 1 liter plants, it is enough to transplant only one plant per pot. In the larger plants, it is necessary to put already 2 plants if you apply especially pot larger than 2 liters. So 2 pots, 2 or 3 plants will be enough to this size of pot. And for the 5 liter pots, I advise to apply 3 and sometimes even 4 plants. And what's the vegetation? Of course, vegetation time will be difference in the smaller pots in the larger pots. It takes for the smallest pots 5 weeks, and for the largest pots 9 weeks. And with this recommendation, you will be able to make your own scheduling for the crop, And if you would like to transplant plants in the landscape, so plants on this stage 5, 6, or sometimes 7 leaves, it's suitable to use it directly in the landscape. And the distance between the plants in the landscape, it's about 20 by 20 centimeters. And let's start about the substrate again, because we talked about the substrate quality on the seedling stage. On the ready stage, Celosia requires mostly the same type of substrate, because Celosia is not really sensitive crop to the substrate. Roots quite strong, and here in this stage provide bit larger particle of the substrate, use a different type of substrate with a different particle size or different batch of the substrate with a particle size 5 till 20 millimeters. And of course, I advise to use a mixture to avoid any kind of issues if you're not sure about the substrate, if you're not really 100% confident on the substrate quality. And of course, leave-in edging. Don't forget about perlite, but if you apply the particle size 20 millimeters, sometimes it's not necessary, and especially if you use such substrate as a rice husk, it's not necessary to apply perlite at this stage, in the ready plant stage. And of course, peat is a quite expensive component at this stage. So that's why I, in general, advise to use this type of the substrate like I display in the bottom of this slide. Rye husk, cocoa peat, and wood fiber peat. It's a more affordable substrate, a bit cheaper than peat, and really suitable for this not sensitive crop. And you will receive plants, your plants more efficiently. I mean, the growing process or production process will be more efficient if you apply the bit more cheaper substrate, because again, Celosia not really sensitive. Of course, don't keep out of your attention the salinity in the substrate, I mean the salt concentration, especially in the cocoa peat, because cocoa peat sometimes has too high EC and too high concentration of the sodium. So if you apply cocoa peat, don't forget to rinse the cocoa peat well, or check EC and pH in the substrate. And in general, I again advise, please not forget to check EC and pH in the substrate to avoid any kind of problem later on with in the vegetation stage. And let's start about the fertigation tip for Celosia after transplanting. After transplanting, it requires a bit higher concentration, even up to 175 ppm of nitrogen. It can be provided with a concentration of NPK like 1.0 up to 1.7. So in these recommendations, I also advise not over apply fertilizer. Don't use higher concentration than 1.7. It will help. Celosia at this stage not really prone to stretching, so that's why don't afraid to provide little bit lower concentration of fertilizer. And of course, give the fertilizer with every watering. If I talking about why I repeat it again and again, give fertilizer with every watering. When we talking, not when I talking, when I talk, don't, and when I speaking, don't over water, don't over apply fertilizer. Don't use too much fertilizer. I mean, not use clean water. I mean, not increase EC in the water than 1.7. It not means you must to apply clean water. Never apply clean water. Just apply a lower concentration with every watering. This is a really critical message I would like to send to you when we're talking about the Celosia fertigation tips. And of course, water with rinsing will help you to avoid over high concentration of the salts in the increasing of the salts concentration in the substrate. And of course, with these fertigation, with the fertigation topics, you will receive very healthy and ready to be sold plants. And pH range can be a little bit higher than in the initial stage. Please keep in mind that Celosia are not really sensitive to average range of pH. It's not really suffered by a bit higher pH like 6.2. So it is enough to keep the pH in the range 5.8 up to 6. And as because Celosia a bit sensitive to televiopsis, this is fungal diseases, these fungal diseases damage the roots of the plants. And to avoid the problem with the televiopsis, I can advise not to apply too high pH, because televiopsis very sensitive to high pH and it can be damaged by high pH. So that's why if you apply the pH in range 5.8, it's better than to apply 6.0. And of course, that's why I would like to keep in the bracket 6.2. It is applicable. This pH rate is applicable, but try to avoid especially if you have a problem or if you can wait, the problem can come to the plants with the fungal diseases. And of course, here I would like to display in my last slide how to overcome and how to kill fungal very dangerous fungal diseases to the Celosia. It's Celebopsis. So that's why I highlighted with a red font. And here you can see it's possible to use different type of the chemicals. Iprodion is common one, but don't apply always one type of the active ingredients of the chemicals. If you will apply always only one time of the same active ingredients, chemical with the same active ingredients, you will receive sooner or later you will receive resistant fungus in your area. So that's why to avoid this process, to avoid may to say breeding of the resistant fungus in your greenhouse, alternate a different type of active ingredient in the application in your protection scheme on your protection schedule. So that's why I keep here the at least 4 different type of active ingredients, which will help you to overcome the problem with the fungal diseases. And if you have any kind of question at this moment, you can start to ask that, because we are coming to Q&A session. And if you would like to receive more information, if you would like to discuss the properties of the Celosia, or if you would like to buy our Celosia seeds, you can ask your key account manager, Amjad Iqbal, for Southeast Asia and Pakistan, Gautam Sangle for South Asia. Or if you have a technical issue with Celosia, you can contact me directly. And here I would like to say thank you for your attention. I hope this session will be suitable useful for your location as well. And I think you will be happy with all tips you received today. And I would like to wish you a nice season, and be successful with your production, and be successful with your crops. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Ivan. I think it was yet another very clear presentation. However, if there are any questions, feel free to use the Q&A button at the lower end of your screen. We keep the line open another minute in case you have any questions that you would like to raise in this webinar. As Ivan stated, he's always available through email and WhatsApp, Line, and several other social platforms. I see no questions coming up from the Q&A, so I think it's time to close the session. Ivan, thanks again for a clear presentation. Thanks all participants
Thank you, Michael.
for attending, and we wish you a very successful production, and looking forward to meet you again in one of our next webinars. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you next time.